Welcome to the Dave Palma Show, the podcast that revives, restores, and awakens your innermost capabilities.
You have the training and the talent to succeed, but do you have the guts to fail? I love what I do. When you love what you do, you want to be the best at it.
Today is about the power of you. You will change the world.
Find your path to success through the journey of those who have succeeded. And now, your host, Dave Palma.
Hi, welcome back to the Dave Palma Show. And with me in this episode, I have an entrepreneur, inventor, and lead visionary of Micro Ant. He's also the author of the book, Lessons My Brothers Taught Me. Charles McCarrick, welcome to the Dave Palma Show.
Thank you very much, Dave, and please just call me Charlie.
Charlie, okay, that's a nice, easy name. Most people call me Dave rather than David, but that's how we like it, really. Excellent. Well, you've got this new book out, and I assume you do some work with it as well, and we can talk about that later if you do. But we will focus on your book today. So it's a new book, is it? I take it.
Actually, I launched it in November, just before Christmas. So it's been out for a few months now.
Okay.
Almost half a year.
Yeah. All right. Well, we could tell us a bit more about the book, Lessons My Brothers Taught Me. Well, actually, why did you pick that title, first of all?
Well, because as I was writing the book and I was reading through the manuscript, I was trying to understand what sort of principles that I was calling upon to help me navigate through the business in view of the fact that I had never been trained in business in college. And I realized that many of the situations I got into and out of were very similar to ones where I had dealt with my brothers, who also I would transact with in a very similar way. And I realized the lessons that I had learned going through those transactions with them served me very well with the transactions I had with the business. So.
Yeah.
I give them credit. I give them credit for helping me be a successful entrepreneur.
Oh, wow. What is your business in again? I know
The name of the company is called Micro Ant.
Yeah.
It stands for microwave antennas. Microwave is the frequency spectrum that encompasses the radio wave spectrum. We design antennas microwave that operate at microwave frequencies.
Not for mobile phones or anything like that, is it?
No, not mobile phones, although I did do embedded mobile phones early in my career, but that has become a commodity now, and we're more of a custom design house.
Okay, all right. Well, we're not going to get too technical because it's not, well, I mean, obviously I was an ex-firefighter, so we could, but you wouldn't understand what I'm talking about if I went too technical. I wouldn't understand what you're talking about. What we could do that's generic is the personal development side of it. And obviously with your book, it's how you focus on the person, and then particularly the 4S principles. So I'm quite interested in that. So just give us a little overview of your book, and then we'll take a little bit of a deep dive into the 4S's, what they mean and what they are.
Okay, I started writing the book during COVID when I had a lot of time in my hands because I was a non-essential person, meaning that for the company, meaning that I didn't lay my hand on the product. So I was finding a lot of different things to bide my time, and one of them was to start journaling the history of the company. And I didn't intend to write a book initially, but as it began to evolve, I realized I needed to break it up into chapters. And as I broke it up into chapters I said, there could actually be a book. There could be something of value. So after I finished it all, I said, I still need a hook. I still need something that brings it all together. And that's when I was thinking about the character assessment, both of the team that you're on and the team that you're transacting with. And I realized that character at the end of the day is what determines a successful or an unsuccessful transaction. And I put character into essentially 4 different categories, or what I call 4 S's. The 2 of the categories are more personal and person-oriented, and the other 2 are the character of the company, of the culture, and together they form what I call a 4S company that is completely successful, scalable, and sustainable. So that's what the book is about, and that's briefly an introduction to the 4S Transform and how it relates to character.
Great, great. Well, as I say, we would like to generically, obviously, my book was more of a personal development thing. It was, people think, oh, I'm writing about firefighting and how to do it and everything. Of course, there might be some elements there, but of course,
Mhm.
the personal development can be generic of any business, any career like firefighting or any other, leadership and things like that. They call it soft skills, I suppose, but it's not soft skills, is it? It's essential skills, I suppose, isn't it? Things like
That's right.
emotional intelligence and stuff like that. So, especially for leadership, business.
I really love that term, essential skills. You're right. That is a way of looking at it because the essence of a person is the character that they possess, right? That they bring to the transaction. So I really like that word to
I just came
describe.
up with that spontaneously, by the way.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that in the future
All
with
right.
Wild Abandon, if you don't
All
mind.
right. Don't worry. It's not trademarked or anything. So I'll just claim that I first mentioned it here on this podcast. No,
Mm.
sorry, go on. So yeah, yeah, essential personal skills or whatever. It's just kind of like that, isn't it? Really, that we're really talking about here. Um, so let's take a deeper dive into the forests. And what they are, so we can spend the next 15 minutes or so before we move on to point everyone to where your book is and find out more about
Okay.
what
Okay.
has
Great.
already. So yeah, let's just take a deep dive into each section and what is a 4S, is how it all evolved.
Okay. If I was to say to you, character is an important element of anything, right? That you say, duh, right? Of course, everybody. If you go on LinkedIn, everything is about character and about culture and all these different things. But I think it was important to break it down and say, what does that exactly mean? How does it relate to you and transform you and your team into a successful business? So that's why I call it the 4S transform. And it's really a play on the Fourier transform, which is very famous mathematical transform that we use in the antenna industry. So there are 4 S's, and the character traits begin with the letter S. And the first one is called salability. And salability means something that others are willing to buy or transact with. And I mean it in a very personal sense. Salability as a character trait is something that you emote to others. It's something that uh, radiates from you. It's something very personal. It's your integrity.
Mm-hmm.
It is the character that you show others, the personalities that you're interested, that you are a good listener, that you are a person that never quits, that you're engaged, that you have an intellectual wherewithal to
Right.
see things through. In
Yeah.
other words, it's the very character that makes you decide you want to be somebody's friend, or want to transact with, or somebody that enriches your life, that brings value to a relationship that you appreciate. So
Yeah.
that's S number one.
I suppose in
Uh,
the employment world, they say employability, but I don't think it's quite the same thing, isn't it? Really, it's
Well,
because
that's a whole different discussion
yeah,
because
yeah,
employability is such a. You're right. That's another rabbit hole that I'd be happy to discuss.
yeah.
Uh,
But
independent.
yeah, I know what you're talking about is the saleability is for anywhere you walk in life. It's you walking around with this kind of thing.
That's
Doesn't
right.
matter if it's in employment or if it's with a relationship or if it's, you know,
It's the
I
energy
know,
you radiate.
and
Yes,
yeah,
it's the
energy,
energy you
yeah,
radiate. It's the
that's it, yeah,
persona. It's the
the
aura
aura, yeah, that's it.
about you. That's right.
Yeah.
It's what you transmit. And the second S is sensibility. Now, sensibility is what you receive. This is being sensitive, having situational awareness to your environment. The people that you're talking to, understanding what their needs and expectations are and knowing how to meet them, knowing that you are providing services or goods that are going to have value and going to be competitive and is going to be able to build up the business. I see sensibility as one of the downfalls, pitfalls that is hitting a lot of would-be entrepreneurs and business people these days. I think because I see a lot of cold calling now. It is really ramped up, and they're using platforms like LinkedIn or direct emails. Uh, and when I say the lack of sensibility, I have a deluge of people coming to me talking about fractional this and fractional that and strategy that, or they're a investment broker and or perhaps they are an equity investor. They know nothing about my company.
Mhm.
Somehow, some metric pulled me out and put me into a category of of some company that they some business base that they would do business with. That's not at all helpful to me. They are so lost in the noise level. They're not cutting through because, first of all, they're using words that are meaningless to their target audience. I think like fractional CMO. I mean, I don't. I know what it means, but I really don't know what it means in terms to me. So I would say that would be a lack of sensibility. A more sensible approach would be understanding the individuals that you're engaging with, what their needs are, and what they expect of you. So that's what sensibility is, having situational awareness. And that is what what you absorb from the world and how you assimilate that into something that that you find valuable. So that's S number 2.
All right. Okay. So let's move on to S number 3. And of what I can see here, it's sustainability. Is that right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
And the first 2 S's were very personal, person oriented. Now, sustainability, I'm talking about a business. I'm talking about a company now that has a character trait such that it is able to exist and function on its own. In other words, it's making a good income, it's providing a services, it's something that has the ability to grow. And what makes a good company sustainable? Well, it takes people, right? There's a difference between a job and a company.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people that are going into your business now, they're just taking their job and now they're doing it on their own. They've taken the next step after working remotely to working independently. But it's still a job, meaning that they don't have an enterprise that exists unless they are engaged. As soon as they walk away, that business shuts down. A sustainable business has a team in place, mechanisms in place where it's continuing to run of all times. In other words, there are processes and strategies and objectives and tactics all taking place and activated in action such that it's an ongoing operation and is not reliant on one particular person, one particular machine. It's sustainable. So that is a character trait that has to do specifically with the business. But if I was to boil it down most succinctly, it is a business with a culture, and that becomes a company.
Right. That's quite interesting. Business of a culture. Some cultures aren't very good. Some are toxic. Some cultures have, values, and they breed in it.
That's
There was a
exactly
there
right.
was there was a thing recently about McDonald's and how there's a lot of bad stuff going on. I don't know if it's the same in the US, but in the UK.
I have not followed that, but certainly, and there are cultures in a company like McDonald's. You wonder how, where they have all these various independent restaurants, how could they have a singular culture amongst all of them? You would think they would have individual cultures, but the reason they do is because culture is generally how workers or a team is a reflection of their management. And so it is very difficult to have a good culture if you have a management that's substandard or doesn't appreciate a good culture or doesn't show compassion as part of the team. In other words, they don't have an attitude of servitude, but rather that they are, they are leaders, and others are meant to follow and to work for them. That is a guarantee for a toxic culture, because for a good culture, you need to care, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you have to absolutely don't show you
It's
care.
just,
You have to care. You have to mean it.
yeah. Or empathy, compassion, maybe that kind of thing you're talking about.
Those right, and those go back to the first
Oh
of
yeah,
the 4 S's,
saleability.
right? Because
Yeah.
those are the right. Because how are you going to? You are going to attract the sort of person that you are.
Hmm.
Right. And so if you have those values, you have those traits, those are the people who are going to want to work with you,
Yeah.
and to build up their business and their culture.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. Well, we'll move on to the last one, and then I'm going to try and put it into practice a little bit. But first of all, yeah. So scalability is the last one, isn't it?
Scalability. Now, scalability, I think of in terms of growth, but with a different metric. Now, scalability. Maybe you have a company that you're happy with the size it is and the direction your objective is not to grow. And there are very few companies that I'm aware of that don't have growth as part of their 5-year plan. But what is meant by scalability is you have an operation such that you have a workflow process that exists that can be expanded such that you can increase product output by adding resources to it. And increasing product output can result in, say, growth in terms metrics such as a greater income. Maybe you go move into a bigger building. Maybe you serve more customers. Perhaps you put out more product. But that's not the kind of scalability I'm actually looking for. The kind of scalability I'm talking about is that the quality, the absolute quality, the essence that's in that product does not change. You create more of it, but the quality is still there. And that is really difficult for many companies to do, and for especially companies that go, say, nationwide or global. I mean, think of the mom and pop baking bread at home and how delicious that can be when they can source the ingredients individually, and then they grow that into a shop and into a franchise. It's impossible to keep that level of quality, and they'll make more money. And they'll be, and you can absolutely say, yes, this is a company that has grown, and they'll make more. They have all the growth metrics that accountants generally appreciate, but the quality is no longer there. The quantity is, but the quality isn't. So I'm thinking, scalability in the strictest sense is that you maintain quality while you increase quantity. Not easy to do. Really
No.
not easy to do.
No, but I suppose you do quality step by step and increase it and grow it so it gets bigger, and then that's when it's quantity, is it, or something?
You said step by step, and that's exactly what a process is, right? That's
All
what a
right,
plan
okay.
is. You take steps, and it is people taking those steps, and it's people following that process, and its quality comes from the heart, right? So, and essentially, it all goes back to those sensible and saleable character traits of individuals. You want to give your best. You bake a pie for somebody, you give a person that pie. Your heart is in it, right? Your
Hmm.
pride is in it. So that's what I mean by being scalable as a character trait.
Yeah, wow. So, with all that said, obviously, all that S's include success. I love that actually. The 4S equals success. I used to do sports, so I don't know if you got that from sports as well. Apart from psychology, I mean, they put S for psychology instead of P thing,
Yeah,
but
well,
it's skills, suppleness, uh, I don't know. There was lots of S's that involved the qualities of
yes,
what a sports person
yes.
needed.
God
Um,
bless the yes, yes.
yeah, so it's great that you put that into business, and actually, a lot of sports psychology came from sports, and then they did, and then went to sports business coaching, and then now it's coaching for anything you can think of. I'm
Hmm.
not, I'm getting a bit of parent coaching. I didn't even know that existed until almost a gremlin started appearing. Like, what do I do here? So anyway, let's not go down that road. So anyway, let's just see, for example, and even put some examples where your lessons that your brothers taught you, where those have got you success of where you were.
Well, let's face it, the cards are stacked against you when you're a small business. And I think
Yeah,
in business, the cards are generally stacked against you,
yeah, yeah.
meaning that the rules are not simply meant for your success. One of the things that I realized lately is just customer loyalty is not what it was. I mean, there were certain people that I could look at, and there was no way that they would drop you without a warning and disappear or knock off your product. And that seems to be going on more and more lately. There's only a handful of people that I can point to in my own experience in business that I said, this is a person that is completely loyal and faithful, and I would do anything for them, and I know that they would do anything for me. Um, and so when you're navigating through a minefield of people like that, and it's job preservation, right? People need to come out ahead. They're looking for the zero sum game. They want you to lose something so that they can win something,
Yeah.
which is the worst possible way to do it. I Don't know why they don't want to foster partnerships and relationships. It seemed like early on that was the case, but you see it less and less these days. It's not a lot like dealing with your brothers. Now, my brothers love me. I love my brothers, and it's a different thing. And at the end of the day, we're there for each other. However, when I was engaged in any activity that they might had put together for my pleasure, really for their pleasure, um, the outcome was invariably stacked against me, meaning that I would be put inside some sort of a rocket ship or an airplane that they were building. I was the test pilot. Hey, you want to go flying? As a kid, 5 years, who doesn't want to go flying? When you find out that flying meant being tied down in a wheelbarrow and pushed off the barn roof, with a board to simulate wings, you're not so excited anymore. So crash pilot. That's exactly the situation. How could I possibly come out best in that situation? But the fact that I was willing to do it, I didn't run off crying, or I didn't seek shelter from my mother. That helped a lot in the transaction. I still ended up flying in the wheelbarrow, but I came out okay. And next time somebody said, "Hey, you want to go flying?" I said, wait a second. Let's see the plane, right? So I gained a little bit more sensibility and intellectual wherewithal before I entered into those transactions. So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about.
Yeah. Wow. Well, you certainly had a journey. I mean, you spoke about the pandemic as well. I know I don't really talk about that much because obviously we've got to move on, and I could talk to anyone and everyone forever about their own personal struggles or even success during the pandemic. Because my show went up actually during that time. Because what more than binge on podcasts and Netflix? But no, if that aside, and you wrote a book, so there's the one plus there. But having said that. You know, you probably had those skills in you, didn't you, to get through all that?
You do mean the skills to write a book, to the skill to navigate through the company?
Yeah, I suppose so. But during those tough times, I suppose.
Yes, we had a company that was certainly sustainable, meaning that even though I was the founder of the company, and I might be essential to the long-term growth of the company, in terms of the day-to-day operations, meaning manufacturing, I was not essential to that. And
Yeah,
we have a team and a plan in place, such that, and the rule that I laid down was, if you do not lay your hand on the product, if you do not physically touch the product, you don't need to be there.
yeah.
And because
Work
keeping
from
the
home, you mean?
product flow, yeah, excuse me.
You mean like you can work from home kind of thing, or
That's right. You can
yeah,
work. You can work from home and still do your job if you were,
yeah,
doing the accounting,
yeah,
or if you were doing any of the design engineering work. That could all be done remotely. You didn't have to be in the office to do that.
mm,
Whereas assembling the product, you had to be there. And we were mandated by some of our customers, who were mandated by the U.S. government, that they could not stop production. So we had to
oh,
keep it going. We had
oh,
to be
good.
very careful
Yes,
not to infect
yes,
that group.
that's right. Yeah,
And
yeah,
so you don't want to take the risk of me strolling in. Hey, how's everybody doing? It turns out I have COVID.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
that,
Well, the
that
first
makes
year
it
of it was
very.
quite lethal, wasn't it? But then after that, it started watering down a bit. I
Who
think.
knew? Who knew? It was described to us like they had dropped a nuclear bomb. I mean, we're afraid to go outside, and breathe in the nuclear dust.
Well,
We didn't know what was going on.
the
If you
ironic
looked at TV,
Yeah, the
so it
ironic
was
thing about it was that I suddenly started watching a film called Pandemic. You probably can Google it. It came out about 2-3 years before it. Obviously, they over exaggerated it, but it's when you said, "Oh, they said that there's a nuclear bomb." It was that exaggerated, yeah. I mean, having said that, I mean, what I'm saying is that the strain of it was quite severe the first year, but then you could have probably maybe
yeah.
have relaxed it and maybe a bit more the second year than what it was.
Oh yes, we,
Uh,
we we certainly did. Once we said, but we stuck our toe out the door and said, and pulled it back in. Our toe was still there. So the next thing we put our, okay, things aren't so bad. And really now, as we all look back, as we have the luxury to look back, and
yeah,
knowing what we now know, we can say, well, the pandemic was nothing. The response to it, though, that was the deadly part of it. But
yeah, yeah.
really, but who knew?
The thing is, you had about 50 countries in the US to try and manage it all separately, whereas we only got 4 countries. I think it's 4 anyway. Yeah, England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. So it's a little bit more manageable here. But yeah. Anyway, the thing is, your company still survived, and I'm sure you've got all that mindset of what you're talking about today. And I'd just like to say, where could people find your book today? Well, yeah, where can they find more about you and your book?
Well, I have a website called charlesmccarrick.com, and you can find out about me, and that has a link to the company and other things that you might be interested in. But the book is everywhere books are sold. You go to Amazon, and if somebody was to actually take the time to spend the $1.99 for Kindle and write a review of it, I would be forever grateful, because I love having the feedback of that. I don't get nearly much of it, and I think a lot of authors have that same complaint, that they don't get enough feedback about their book, from people that they don't know. I get plenty of feedback from the people I do know, but I would like to hear unbiased opinions of the book.
Fantastic. Well, it's really, really. I'm fascinated by the book that you've particularly wrote, and yeah, it's a unique title as well. That's why I asked you why you chose that, because it's kind of like, even mine is not like how to stop anxiety in 10 seconds, or things like that. It's actually kind of it sounded like a novel, but it's not. It's actually helping, in terms of business.
It is helping. I would say it's about 30% humor, 50% memoir,
All right,
and 20% actual, information that you can learn something from.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, Charles, it's really been a great pleasure. It's really, really great conversation I had to you, and I really wish you a great success of the book, and thanks for sharing some of that book with me and my audience today.
I appreciate the time, Dave, and thank you very much. It was a wonderful, wonderful, exciting day. Thank you.
That's all for this episode. Thanks for listening, and remember, if you want to support what we do, then share, subscribe, and leave a review over on Apple Podcasts, or head over to my website, davepalmer.com, and click on Rate Show. Well, that's all for now, but I'll see you in the next episode of The Dave Palmer Show.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.